Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to Board Game Breakfast. Well, last week I talked about the Dice Tower Kickstarter, and you guys listened. I really appreciate that. I'm recording this way earlier than you watch it, so at the time of me recording this, we are 75% funded, which is just phenomenal for us. We're really excited about that. We're excited to see where this goes. Will we have to add more stretch goals, but we'll have to wait and see. I don't want to get, count my chickens before they're hatched, but it does look like it's going to fund. And if you haven't funded it yet, we ask that you consider doing so. Go check it out. We'll have a link in the description of the video below. This week, though, the big, giant, cool thing is going to be a live marathon. Now, if you've not watched one of these before, we've done them in the past. And it's now become an annual tradition that we do in January. It's a 30-hour marathon. It will be this coming Thursday and Friday. We'll start at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and go to 10 p.m. Friday Eastern Standard Time. That's 36 hours, you may say. Well, yes, but we take 2 3-hour breaks in there. So 30 hours, the same people won't be on camera the whole time. We switch in and out. We'll have some of our contributors that you've seen in the show will be coming in and just playing lots of different games. So we'll post a schedule of the games, but we never actually hold true to that schedule anyway, really that strongly. So you'll just have to wait and see. But hopefully you'll come and watch there and see what happens on the next gaming marathon. Well, I think that's pretty much the main announcement for the week. Let's get going with the news. Okay, so the first thing in the news is that Gloomhaven has become the #1 ranked board game on Board Game Geek. That's a big change. It's only happened 7 times, according to Aldi, who runs Board Game Geek. So there you have it. It's also my #1 this year, so much for me being any sort of hipster, right? But that's pretty cool. Doesn't happen very often. We'll see what happens in the future. Smirk and Dagger is starting a new line of games called Smirk and Laughter. This is kind of the Smirk and Dagger games are more about, stabbing each other, and essentially this one's about family and fun. And so the first game is Nut So Fast. This looks like a speed-style game where you're flipping cards and trying to find matching nuts. Looks like it has some pretty cool components, too. Game Salute is rebranding their board games into 3 lines. Their Starling line, which is their heavier style strategy games. The game that I designed years ago, Nothing Personal, they said, would fall into this line. Sparkworks, which is more of a fun family-style games, and then Flying Meeple, which looks like silly party games. The Flying Meeple does tend to look like a star. It doesn't really look like a meeple. I'm not sure where I stand on this whole rebranding. I mean, Greater Than Games does this too, where they have different lines of games. I think it's confusing myself, but we'll have to wait and see. WizKids has a game called SEAL Team Fix coming. This is a cooperative dexterity game. I love cooperative dexterity games. I like the theme of this one, flicking discs and going in as a SEAL team and doing different missions. It seems really cool. This one, a high priority of me being interested in it. Games Workshop. This was something that was already known, but I just found out about it a couple weeks ago, was that their stock, for last year, they were the #1 and had this top position on the stock exchange over in the UK. Their stock went up by 266%. This is a big deal, especially since years for that, we were like, Games Workshop's finished, write them off, they're gone, they're not changing with the times. They did change with the time. Their new Warhammer 40K set edition is being lauded as one of the reasons it's going well, but they're also doing a lot of board games and things. They really have swung around as a company. Council of 4 from CMON is going to be, it was supposed to be released this year, but it's coming next year. It's a really great game. I love this game, and the new components look really cool, so check that out when it comes out, I think, very soon. And then a new expansion is coming for Scythe called Rise of Fenris. This is the final expansion. And if there's one person who I believe, when they say final expansion, it would be Jamie Stegmaier from Stonemaier Games. This is going to be a legacy game of sorts. Not really, but there's like a campaign where you unlock modules and get new pieces for the game, taking a bit from Charterstone, I think. And then you have these different modules that you'll be able to stick into the game. Very exciting. Looks like like the last two expansions were small, minor ones. This looks like a major game-changing expansion. We'll have to wait and see. Well, that's the regular news. Let's now go to Kickstarter news.
Happy breakfast, everybody! We're still rolling to a bit of a slow start in the crowdfunding world right now, but we have a couple of really great projects to escape to today. So let's get going. Spirits of the Forest, designed by the legendary Michael Schacht and featuring absolutely stunning art by Natalie Dubois, is an abstract majority control game. Players compete to collect the most nature points by taking tiles from the board that have spirit symbols on them. At the end of the game, the player who has the most of a given spirit symbol scores those points. Tiles also have power icons that will score for majority at the end of the game too, and you lose points for every spirit that you don't get at least one of. Tile capture kind of follows a mahjong-like style where you can take them from the edges of the board only, but you can also use your limited gems to try and reserve tiles. Favor tokens add some hidden information, and the campaign has been a huge success already with expansion stretch goals unlocked. You can get a copy of this gorgeous game for a pledge of €12, or you can get the deluxe edition of Spirits of the Forest with upgraded components for €30 plus shipping. And The Conjurer's Almanac: Escape the Book is an escape room style game in book form. The story is you've discovered the Great Houdini's Almanac, but you've been trapped in it. Thankfully, there are puzzles added by a former victim that you can use to escape. This is kind of a hard project to showcase visually because of spoilers, so kind of forgive the lack of visuals overall. The Almanac is a 240-page book with dozens and dozens of puzzles. It can be played solo or with up to 3 players, and there's no writing in the book or destruction of it, so it can be reused by others. The Kickstarter edition of The Conjurer's Almanac is an upgraded version that features full-color art and upgraded cover material. The designer Roy Laban has a long record of puzzle creation for his own company, as well as for publications like Games Magazine and the New York Times. You can get the softcover Kickstarter edition of The Conjurer's Almanac for a pledge of $49 plus shipping. Alrighty, that's all I've got for you this episode. And yeah, it's a little bit slow in the crowdfunding world right now, but what better time to check out the Dice Tower Kickstarter, eh? Until next time, I hope you have a wonderful week.
Hello there. Once again, I'm Chaz Marler from Pair of Dice Paradise, once again reminding you that you can thank the Industrial Revolution for your favorite board game. Here's what I mean. As a result of the industrialization and urbanization of the United States of America in the early 19th century, members of the American working class suddenly obtained something that they had rarely possessed before: increased leisure time. And as a result, families began to look for activities that they could share during their growing amounts of spare time, and as a result, demand for children's board games slowly began to increase, especially ones that emphasize the wholesome Christian principles, morals, and values that their children certainly weren't learning down at the factory. And in answer to this growing demand, in 1843, Parker Brothers introduced what would be the second oldest board game ever published in the United States, a game called The Mansion of Happiness. Board games throughout history. Yes, The Mansion of Happiness, based on the Puritan worldview that Christian virtue and good deeds were assurances of happiness and success in life. Nothing can go wrong with this. But yeah, apparently Puritanism was really big in the 1840s, as it not only influenced the game's theme, but even its mechanisms as well. For example, the game didn't use dice, or Satan's gambling utensils, as I assume everyone playing this game in 1843 probably called them. No, instead of dice, the game used a top-like component called a teetotum, whatever a teetotum is. Oh. Neat. It's like an unholy result of a union between a top and a die. Disturbing. But at least you can spin it and not roll it, because priorities. Now, as for the game itself, the Mansion of Happiness is a simple game where players roll and move around players teetotum and move around a track of 60 spaces, dodging and weaving past spaces such as family-friendly locations like Audacity, Immodesty, Ingratitude, the Pillory, Ruin, and the Whipping Post. I think I'm starting to see why kids played outside a lot more often back then. And each one of these spaces introduced unique rules that combined edutainment with abject horror. In fact, a copy of the first edition rules was archived with the Library of Congress way back in 1843. So I can share these rules with you right now. So sit back and relax, but don't get too comfortable because that's a temptation. Grab a refreshing glass of stagnant well water, kick off your undecorated buckle hat and shoes, and I will teach you how to play the Mansions of Happiness.
So what's coming from the Dice Tower this week? Well, Thursday, Friday, the only videos you'll see those days will be the marathon videos. Even if you can't watch us during the marathon itself, they'll be posted later where you can see them. So keep an eye out for that. Also, I'll be reviewing several games this week, as well as Sam and Z. I'll be taking a look at the expansion for Magic Maze, Maximum Security, but also the big game of the week will be Gaia Project, this fairly complex style game that's a sequel of sorts to Terra Mystica. And I think Jason will be doing his top 10 gaming experiences from 2017 and a few other videos coming out that week. And finally, I'll be doing a new video series this coming week where it's a short video series just this coming week where I'll be taking a look at the top 100 ranked games on Board Game Geek and giving my opinion of them. So that'll be posted throughout next week. All right, we'll see you back then at the marathon. Let's keep going.
Hey everybody, I'm Christina from Girls Game Shelf, and it's so good to be back. I haven't been on Board Game Breakfast for like a year because I had a baby, and babies are tiny humans that don't let you sleep. So I'm back with a list of games for my fellow sleep-deprived people out there. I'm talking to you, parents and students and binge watchers of Netflix series. Here is a list for you of games that pay homage to the sleep that you're not getting. Game number 1, Project Dreamscape. This game has a really fun theme. There's a scientist that has created this super sleep machine. All the other players are test subjects that are trying to become the best sleeper of the group. Competitive sleeping. Game number 2 is Once Upon a Time. I know Once Upon a Time is not technically a game about sleep, but I read bedtime stories to my other tiny humans so that they can sleep. So it totally belongs on this list, okay? In Once Upon a Time, everybody has story cards and you're all trying to collectively tell a story that is cohesive and makes sense while also getting rid of all of your cards, and it's amazing how crazy that can get. Game number 3, When I Dream. When I Dream kind of feels like a combination of Codenames and Pin the Tail on the Donkey. Each player takes a turn being the sleeper and wearing the sleep mask. There's a sleep mask in this game, oh my gosh! While you're wearing the sleep mask, people are trying to get you to guess certain words by giving you one-word clues. Some people, though, are trying to help you, and other people are trying to mess you up. After guessing your cards, then you get to craft this dream story based on the cards that you guessed correctly. All of these games play out relatively quickly, like 30 minutes or so you can play a game and then go to sleep. So that's my list for today, but do you have anything to add to it? Do you know of any games that are about dreaming or sleeping or maybe not sleeping? Let me know in the comments below, and for full reviews, check out Girls Game Shelf on YouTube. It's good to be back. See you guys next time.
Hi, Mike Alicio from Solo Mode Games. Have you ever dreamed of building a dinosaur amusement park but had no one to share that dream with you? Never fear, I've got you covered. Let's head over to Dinosaur Island for a solo adventure. Okay, here we have the solo game of Dinosaur Island set up. The primary difference from the multiplayer and the main focus of the solo game are the solo objective cards. During setup, you're going to choose 10 from the solo objective deck. Of those 10, you're going to pick 7 that you want to make your primary goals for the game. You lay those out face up. The rest you shuffle back into that deck because it's dual purpose. This is the AI deck and it is the goals deck. So for example, in this particular game, I have goals of scoring 8 VPs in a single round, building 3 food attractions, earning $8 from patrons, etc. At the beginning of the round, what you're going to do is draw the top card from the solo deck, and at the bottom it's going to remove particular items. So in this case, dice 1 and 5 now are not available to me. The large carnivore is out of the mix. The $4 attraction is gone. And the $3 lab upgrade is gone. In this particular round, none of the specialists are removed. And so now I have fewer items. That's going to be like when another player is taking things away from you. The other way that the game changes is at the end of the round, if you have completed one of these objectives, you will get points based on what round it is in the game. In the solo game, you play 7 rounds. So for example, if in the first round I was able to make sure that no patrons were eaten, I could claim this as a completed objective, get those 10 points in addition to any points I would have gained. The other phases of the game work exactly the same, where you're sending out your scientists in phase 1. In phase 2, you're buying 2 items, up to 2 items from the market phase. Phase 3, sending out your workers. And phase 4, bringing people to your park. There you have Solo Dinosaur Island.
Happy 2018, Dice Tower!
Oh, we're late. We're sorry we're late.
Better late than never, though. We have a blooper reel to show you from 2017, a bunch of the early Brothers Murph stuff, so do check it out and get to laughing like we did.
Yay! Hey there, Dice Tower. What's up?
Wah!
That was good.
Just disregard the fact that everyone. Sorry. Just remember, you.
This isn't even your most sweaty one.
Together, and we'll do a live playthrough of all 4 back to back to back to back.
I promise you.
We'll shoot ourselves.
That's supposed to be an astronaut.
That's personal foul right there. Okay.
sorry. Literally so dumb.
You see Kirk Douglas and that chin in that? He's just like, yeah.
Let them print.
Let them preen and prance or just.
Preen and prance, yeah. It's a worker placement. Air control.
I think you have a problem, man. I think you're addicted to board games.
You don't got enough games, am I right, though? I can't stop playing it.
No, you don't understand. You're so funny, dude.
I got real emotion coming out here. All right.
Oh, dude, did you hear they're putting a wicked slip and slide on this thing?
Oh, what?
Maybe we'll show later.
That's so funny.
Because we're in the middle of the thing. We're supposed to be...
It's the look in the camera that you do, dude.
You look at it! Ah!
She keeps jumping on him, and blood's coming out of him like he's a human sprinkler.
Ooh.
This show's awesome.
This sketch is real dark.
Sketch is dark. Check us out on social media and do watch our Twitch stream because it's super awesome, and then we talk to you and whatnot.
We do stuff like that. Well, next time we'll see you at the thrift store.
We'll see you there. Hey everybody, I every year make predictions for the coming year as to what I think will happen. I did not do so hot on my predictions last year, actually, but I feel more strongly about my predictions. These predictions may or may not be based on information that I know. Usually not, though. They're just educated guesses, I guess. And I have them here in no particular order. Let's see what happens. Number 1. I think there will be another major acquisition this year of one company buying another, but you say that's what happens all the time. Yeah, but I'm talking about, I think there will be one that is as big as or even bigger than when Asmodee and bought Fantasy Flight. Now, I have no knowledge about this one whatsoever, but I think it might happen this year. Number 2. I think Board Game Geek is finally going to finish their graphics overlay. If you've ever been to Board Game Geek and you go to their game pages, they look one way, and if you look at the regular pages, they look another way. It's been like that for quite a while. I think this will be the year you'll see a complete, rounded out Board Game Geek. All the things look the same. At least we can hope, right? Number 3, I think PAX Unplugged, which was a very successful first convention last year. I think this year it's going to increase from last year 50%. I wanted to go even farther and say it'd be one of the biggest conventions. I think that's true anyway.
But let's just go with, I think there will be a 50% increase over last year's PAX Unplugged attendance. I'm going to make the same prediction for my number 4 that I made last year. Let's see if it happens again. And I'm going to say 3 of the top 5 ranked Board Game Geek games, as of when I checked this next year in 2018, will be Kickstarter-funded games. I think Kickstarter games have come into their own. There's a lot of great ones out there now. Let's see. Number 5, I say that a year from now, when I do this in late December, it was a little bit less than a year, in late December when I go over my predictions, I think Gloomhaven will still be number 1 ranked game on Board Game Geek. I think, because some people are saying it's a flash in the pan. I don't think so. I think it's going to hold its spot for a while. Or maybe it will fall out of favor, but then it will be back. Number 6, I think that Scythe will be in the top 5. It's in the top 10 right now, but I think this new expansion is going to push it forward. I would not be surprised if we see Scythe end up at number 2. But who knows? But I'm going to just say top 5 for now. Number 7, I think that while legacy games are extremely popular, I think there'll be less than 5 major legacy games launched this year. I wanted to say less than, so I'm saying 4. 1, 2, 3, or 4. And I'm not talking about campaign-style games or games that call themselves legacy. I'm talking about games where actually change the physical game board and stuff. I think that these are really hard to pull off, really hard to do, and you're not going to see as many as you think. Number 8, I think that we're going to see the last modules for Time Stories this year. I think Time Stories is on its way out. It's unfortunate. I would not be upset about being wrong on this one. And I know that they have some modules that they still have announced. We're going to see the Pirate one coming. I think there's one after that. And I think you're going to see it fading out because I think you're going to see the Unlock series, which is much more popular, I think. The Exit style games. We'll see. Again, this one would be one I'd be pleased to be wrong about. I think number 9, there'll be a new IP that after the end of the year will be like, stop. For example, Sherlock Holmes just came in public domain. Way too many Sherlock Holmes games. Before that, Lovecraft came in public domain. I'm not sure if any new thing is coming in the public domain, but I'm going to say there's going to be some theme, some IP or something where we're like, stop making games on this. And number 10, Batman City Chronicles from Monolith. That Kickstarter is launching this February. This one is their follow-up to Conan, which was extremely popular. I'm going to say that Batman City Chronicles is going to be in the top 5 funding Kickstarter games of all time. I really think that the combination of Monolith and the cool miniatures, the fact that they've been building hype for well over a year, the fact that it's Batman license, which a lot of people like, I think it's going to be a huge Kickstarter. Well, I know it's going to be a huge Kickstarter, but I think it's going to be one of the biggest. Those are my 10 predictions. Maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. We'll find out in December. Why don't you make some predictions? Tell me in the comments below. Tell me if you think my predictions are probably right, probably wrong, or just plain out crazy. Until next time, you've been watching Tom Thinks on the Dice Tower.
Hello everyone, my name's Annette, and you may know me as Netter's Plays. And today on Applied Mechanics, I'm going to go over the game of Queen Domino. So Queen Domino adds a little bit more to the base game of King Domino. So let me show you exactly what it adds and why I really like it. So this is the builder's board where you'll be able to construct these different buildings. And these buildings can be placed on this new color type where it's a construction site in your kingdom. This is the money you will be using in order to purchase these different tiles. These tiles will give you special benefits during and at the end of the game. This tile can score you extra bonus points for these type of regions. Some tiles will give you crowns in order to score more points for this region in the game. This tile will also give you a knight. This is how you can score more coins by collecting taxes. This tile will give you towers. If you have the most amount of towers in your kingdom, the queen will come by and will give you an extra crown to score at the end of the game. If you notice one of your opponents eyeing one of these tiles, you can always bribe the dragon by paying a coin, and the dragon will come by and burn one of these tiles out of the game. At the end of the game, you'll be able to score your points just like normal King Domino. However, Queen Domino offers more ways to score points. So as you can see, Queen Domino doesn't really take away from King Domino, and just by adding a few more elements to the game, it makes it quite strategic and even more competitive between players, and that's why I really like it. Just adding the coin, the market system, along with new ways to score points, just really bumps up the game of King Domino and makes Queen Domino such a great game. Well, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!
Hey, this is Mike with the Board Game Makeover. In this episode, I want to show you how I took a new game I just found out about called When I Dream, a wonderful party game by Repost Productions with the Dice Tower Seal of Excellence, so you know it's got to be good. Plays 4 to 10 people. This game has amazing artwork. It reminds me a lot of another family favorite called Dixit. Why do I tell you about that? Because I also noticed that the cards are the same size as Dixit, I believe tarot sized. I'm going to show you how I took Dixit cards and made them usable in When I Dream. In When I Dream, players take turns as the dreamer who places a mask over their eyes. The other players are dream spirits who each use a single word to describe the same card. Each of the cards in When I Dream is an amazing artwork picture with 2 words describing the card. This one, Gorilla and Thermometer, shows a gorilla climbing a thermometer. Very self-explanatory. Here's a piano and a hippopotamus, and the hippopotamus's teeth are a piano. Very creative. And of course, the waffle slide. Now that looks just fun. Now these Dixit cards are the exact same size. All I did was I took 2 words that correspond to the Dixit picture. I put it into Excel. I printed out the squares or the grid in Excel, and then I just used some real simple paste to put these on the cards. The words come off really easily if I want them to come off and not use them anymore in When I Dream. This is a maze with a worm in it, so I used the words worm and maze to describe this card. Werewolf and shadow. These are the kind of cards and words that you would use when playing When I Dream. I have so many expansions for Dixit that I took about a quarter of the cards out, probably about 60 of them, and made them so I could use them in When I Dream. So as you can tell, the production quality is pretty much maybe a second grader can do this. So not a hard thing to do to take Dixit cards, make them playable in When I Dream. Thanks for watching the Board Game Makeover. I will see you next time.
Ever been curious to try a Star Wars RPG? Hi, I'm Chris Renshaw from the Boards and Swords podcast, and this... What? What's that? Yeah, I know I'm wearing a Back to the Future shirt. So, what's your point? I'm wearing Charizard slippers as well. What's the big deal? I mean, yes, I know I'm about to do a Star Wars segment, but I didn't think it... Really? With the new hype going on with Star Wars in movie theaters and everyone all excited and talking about Star Wars, I thought I'd take this opportunity to again talk about FFG's Star Wars RPG. There are 3 different book lines, and it might be confusing if you're wanting to get into a Star Wars RPG and you're like, which one do I pick? I don't know, are these different? But no, fundamentally all these books are going to be the same, but I'm going to tell you a little bit of the differences. This book here is all about making characters and making stories about people in kind of like the outer rim of Star Wars. Your bounty hunters, your smugglers, those types of characters. Age of Rebellion, again, using the same core mechanics, this one is all centered around telling stories about mainly rebel soldiers. So you got soldiers and spies and pilots and etc. Lastly, if you love the Force and you love all the mysticism that goes on around that, then you're going to want to check out any of the Force and Destiny products. What kinds of Star Wars stories do you like to tell or do you like to play in? Let me know down in the comments below. And make sure you follow me on all the different social medias. If you don't want to share down in the comments, you can let me know on there as well. But in the meantime, until next time we talk, may all your hits be crits.
Hi, Suzanne here with this week's featured board game app. One of the games I hoped for the longest time would hit the app stores is Friedman Freeze's Friday. Well, it finally hit the digital world, and does it live up to my hopes and expectations? Let's take a look. In Friday, you play as the titular character trying to help the kind of inept Robinson survive the island. Multi-purpose cards represent challenges in your deck or, for the most part, abilities in your hand. Each turn you'll choose between 2 challenges to deal with, and each of those have a different difficulty based on which round you're in. You have a limited number of leaf tokens that you can use to draw extra cards to try and defeat the challenge, but losing isn't always bad because you sacrifice cards, and sometimes that lets you get rid of bad cards too. Challenges you beat go into your deck to be used as support cards in future play, and if you make it all the way to the end, you get to fight off a pirate ship and try to actually win the game. Friday, the app version, is functional. It shares the same art and graphics as the card game, and once you understand the flow and the actions in the app, it's really easy to move through the game. There's no tutorial, but the rules are in the app, and there's an in-game help button that kind of runs you through the game elements on the screen, which is helpful, but not elegant. There's also a feature that lets you optimize the layout for left-handed players, which is something I don't see too often. But overall, the layout of the app feels slightly clunky, and I occasionally do run into small bugs that are a nuisance. All that said, I've really enjoyed the Friday game in app form. It gives me the game experience with none of the setup and the advantage of being played on the go. If you're willing to invest a small bit of time familiarizing yourself with the app, then I think the Friday app is definitely worth giving a try.
With all its ups and downs, 2017 was another excellent year in gaming, both industry-wide and right here at Snakes and Lattes. The board game industry continued to see huge growth, with more games than you can count getting released this year. Estimates put it at around 3,500 new titles in 2017. Established games and Kickstarter visionaries continue to use the crowdfunding platform to push the boundaries of just what board games can do. Now, we did see the unfortunate collapse of Geek Chic custom-made gaming tables, but we also saw a rise in many other services providing the same product. So those of you who are in the market for a really nice custom-made gaming table, you have lots of options to choose from. More and more board game cafes sprang up all around the world, so big hellos from everyone here at Snakes and Lattes to Counterculture in Wellington, New Zealand, Coffee and Dice in Bournemouth, United Kingdom, Dice Cafe in Stockholm, Sweden, Cardboard Crowns in Ohio, Astal in Belgrade, Serbia, Connexio in Brisbane, Australia, and Dobra Potenza, I hope I said that one right, in Slovenia, and of course all the many, many others that are out there. We at Snakes and Lattes are proud to add Snakes and Lattes Midtown at 45 Eglinton Avenue East in Toronto to that growing list of wonderful places to go play games. Snakes and Lattes Midtown is to date our biggest project. At over 10,000 square feet and seating for 220 people, it's got 2 stories with a library on each floor, and our seating areas are divided into private and semi-private zones. Some of my favorite additions to the Snakes and Lattes library include Century Spice Road, Number 9, Sagrada, Magic Maze, King Domino, Flamme Rouge, Dirigible Disaster, Godfather, Corleone's Empire, Hive Mind, Evolution, Karuba, Rhino Hero Super Battle, and Rock Paper Wizard. Some of my favorite new-to-me titles that for various reasons didn't make it into the library this year include Star Wars Rebellion, Meeple Circus, Wasteland Express Delivery Service, Laser Riders, Ice Cool, Happy Salmon, and Innis. Now, just because they're not part of our collection doesn't mean you shouldn't still try these games, because I thought they were all pretty awesome. And so we bid 2017 a fond farewell and wait with bated breath to see what 2018 has in store for the gaming industry. Everyone here at Snakes and Lattes hopes that you have a 2018 that is full of health, prosperity, and above all, fun games.
Okay, this is the continuation of my favourite games of 2017. The year critics are giving 2 thumbs, up. The kind of thumbs that Caesar would give when he was going to give a murder the go-ahead. The first game for me is Santa Maria, which is a game of engine building and dice drafting and colonialism. But you know what the cool thing about this game is? That it's deceptive in its layers, like a small book with very little text. You're only drafting a couple dice. It's like maximum 18 dice in the whole game. How hard can that be? Very complicated, because you're doing this, which means you can do this, and then you do this, which means you can do this, which you can get 3. Game 2 for me this year is Riverboat. Michael Keaton had a good year, didn't he? You stay. With that Azul game that everyone's been going on about, with those little tiles that look like my ex-girlfriend's bathroom, which doesn't make me sad at all. Anyway, Riverboat is a game about action selection. Action selection. And that. You know, like in San Juan and Puerto Rico, where, you know, you do that and someone can trail off your actions. Well, Riverboat does this too. It's about farming. It's great. And it's been completely overlooked this year for some reason. And the last game for my games picks of the year is Yokohama. Oh, there we go. The game that 2017 forgot. Get Out. It's a bit like Istanbul, but on steroids, and it's actually good. And I know the Japanese version was out in 2016, but the English first edition was 2017. So there. So they're my games of the year, though if I had managed to play Agra, I'm pretty sure that would have made the list too, because I love La Granja, and you know when you know, you know? What?
And that's it for another Board Game Breakfast. Thanks so much for coming on board. As always, folks, thank you to all my contributors for doing a fantastic job. And thanks for joining us for the second Board Game Breakfast of 2018. And thanks for supporting our Kickstarter. Don't forget about that if you haven't done it yet. Lots of cool things there. Anyway, until next time, I'm Tom Vasel. This has been Board Game Breakfast on the Dice Tower.